I'm worried that he's so divisive and that he's talking about retribution and they're talking about revenge. And I think that that's dangerous. He's even mentioned a civil war at one point, talked about there would be bloodshed. I am going to spend some time with the criminal justice system, with the justice system, asking them, tell us what's going on with the domestic terrorists. Are they going to be attacking? Whom are they going to attack? What are we going to do? I've got to get on with trying to get an investigation going.
That's Maxine Waters on MSDNC over the weekend. She used the words civil war and bloodshed. I think she needs to be charged with crimes and arrested. She used those words. She was, of course, trying to say that Donald Trump is implying that civil war is coming. It's not what he said. The bloodbath, not bloodshed, is what he said, talking about Joe Biden's economic disaster. And Maxine Waters is an extremely unintelligent person, an unserious person, an awful person, a corrupt person, a racist person, an anti-American person. You know, a Democrat. She's a Democrat. She checks all those boxes. That's why the party loves her. Amazing stuff. Maxine Waters. On MSDNC, dozens of viewers witnessed this hilarity. He mentioned civil war. You just mentioned civil war. He said bloodbath, that talking about the economy, talking about an economic bloodbath. You just mentioned bloodshed. The Justice Department should build a home in your digestive tract and live there. You are really a piece of, what is she a piece of, Michael? She's a piece of work. She's a piece of work. That's what she is. Remarkable stuff. Piece of work, isn't she? Yes, she is. Now, again, President Trump, since he was indicted by the Democrat lynch mob with ropes and trees on horseback, they, everything they do produces the opposite of the intended results. They say they're going to defund the police, and then there'll be less crime. Yeah, and then everybody gets murdered. And they say, well, I guess that didn't work very well, but we're going to keep at it anyway. We're going to spend $1.5 trillion on infrastructure. There is no new infrastructure anybody can point to. And that doesn't matter. Everything, now we have less infrastructure than we had before, I think, because the Democrats are behind it. But President Trump, and I've got more to get to of President Trump. Let's go. Let's wrap up the interview with Fox News Channel, soundbite number 5 over the weekend. President Trump, honestly, he was asked about the border and Joe Biden and the border. And I mentioned earlier that Joe Biden, we're now being told that tomorrow, Tuesday, after his big fundraiser in Connecticut, in Greenwich, Connecticut, Joe Biden, he's going to come back. He sent his wife off to sit in the courtroom with their crackhead criminal son. And tomorrow he's going to sign a bunch of executive orders having to do with the border, which just a couple of weeks ago, he and the White House said, well, I can't do anything by executive order. And the Democrats on Capitol Hill, like Inchworm, Adam Schiff, and all these mental cases, saying, well, he can't do anything with executive order because they lie like rugs. These people, they're amazing. It's amazing how comfortable they are lying about everything, all of them. If you're married to a Democrat, he or she is lying to you all the time. Know that. Live that. That's true. So President Trump was asked, well, you know, what about Biden? They keep saying, well, they got to have legislation. And those darn Republicans on Capitol Hill won't pass the legislation that the Democrats want to open our borders and get a bunch of left-wing, radical, non-English speaking judges down there to wave everybody into the country and give them the keys to your daughter's bedroom. President Trump, Fox News.
And Biden, by the way, he doesn't need any legislation. He could say the word, close the border. That's what I did. I said, close the border. Now I'm going to do the big deportation, the biggest ever. Eisenhower did the biggest. This will be bigger. But it's a very tough thing. What they've done to our country is unthinkable.
I like Ike, Dwight David Eisenhower. And yeah, he had the biggest mass deportation. And Trump says, mine will be big. And it's past time because the Democrat Party is filthy and they're corrupt and they're doing everything they can to hurt, to harm the United States of America and your children and your bank account and your neighborhood and your city and the country. They want more gangs. They want more mayhem. They want more murder. They want more criminals on the street. They call it bail reform. That's another thing, opposite of the intended results. What it does is the police arrest criminals, and then the Democrats let them go for nothing at all. So they can go commit more crimes, which is what criminals do. That's why we call them criminals. See, for Democrats, the word crime is related to the word criminal. It has the same beginning. President Trump. Also, when he becomes president, maybe we should get back to cheap gasoline and cheap energy, which is good for everybody, and energy independence.
We were rocking and rolling. We were energy independent. We were soon going to be double the size. We were in third place and even beyond that when I took over. We were leading. We got hit with COVID. And if I didn't throw money at COVID, we would have had a depression like in 1929. And if I don't win, you're going to have a depression like in 1929.
Tonight we're going to party like it's 1929. And the Democrats are going to, they want a country, they hate Wall Street. They hate capitalism. They hate the stock markets. They hate everything. They hate you. They hate themselves primarily. But they want people on Wall Street hurling themselves off of ledges from tall buildings and splattering on the ground, like it's a gay pride march in Gaza. The gay pride marches in Gaza, they begin on the roof and they end on the ground. Ooh, splat, like that. President Trump, what are you running for president for? What's up with you? What do you like, the Constitution or something? The Democrats are really nice people, aren't they?
Well, look, I'm fighting for the Constitution. These people are sick. They're sick. They're deranged. I talk about the enemy on the outside and the enemy from within. So you have Russia, you have China, but if you have a smart president, you always handle him quite easily, actually. We have a lot of advantages. But the enemy from within, they are doing damage to this country. They want open borders. They want high interest rates. They now want to quadruple your taxes. Quadruple. All my life I watched politics, and it was always like politicians want to lower taxes, not quadruple them.
The enemy from within. We were talking about this at the Free Speech Forum last night, the most dangerous entity, and I have talked about this weeks ago. I started talking about the Democrat Party being the most dangerous entity on the planet Earth to humankind itself, not the Ayatollahs in Tehran, not Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan turned over to Al-Qaeda by Joe Biden and the Democrats, by the way, with this arsenal that we left in their hands, but never mind that. The Putin's Russia is not the most dangerous entity. Even Xi Jinping and the Chinese communists are not the most dangerous entity in the world, although they're very, very dangerous, and they will murder millions in the coming decades. It's their plan. They're enslaving millions now, forced labor, Uyghurs. It's ethnic bigotry, religious bigotry. The Democrats are fine with that because LeBron James makes a lot of money off those gym shoes that are sewn together by child labor working their little fingers to nubs. I'm going like this with my hands. I don't know. I don't know why nobody can see. I'm going like this way because I'm working my little child forced labor hands to just into little balls of flesh because LeBron James needs money for his jet. Got to pay for the gas for his jet. And the Democrats are all fine with that because they couldn't be bigger liars or hypocrites. Yes, sir. Yeah, and the EFW, the enemy from within. So the Democrat, got to abbreviate everything. President Trump called them the enemy from within, and they are the enemy from within. And once the United States falls and capitalism falls to the left, then the left will roll up the rest of the planet, and it'll be a big slave ship orbiting the sun. And then the Democrat Party will finally be happy because they're not democratic at all. Extraordinary. Yeah, EFW, enemy from within. I'm not really creating a new abbreviation. I'm just mocking new abbreviations. All right, let's go because President Trump went to the UFC, the fighting competition in New Jersey on Saturday night, where he was greeted like he just liberated Europe from the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler.
former president getting a standing ovation from the assembled masses here at UFC 302.
UFC 302. Huge standing ovation, gigantic standing ovation for President Trump, because normal men, and this has infuriated the New York Times, as a matter of fact. You know, they think of masculinity and they call it toxic, because none of them are very masculine, are they? They're Democrats and they work at newspapers and they're not on the side of civilization or anything like that. But the New York Times absolutely furious about this. And the headline is, after verdict, after verdict. Or is it, hey, the pop-up ad just jumped in on me there. Hang on a second, because I have it over here, too. The dirty, stinking, rotten New York Times. You know how they are. They're terrible people. The toxic masculinity of those awful men that the New York Times despises. And the pop-up ad won't go away because the New York Times is just, that's why nobody reads it. One of the many reasons that nobody reads it, because you know how they are. Just extraordinary. The New York Times attacking President Trump and attacking the men that are at the UFC fight. The audience now, we're talking about the audience that they're attacking. So amazing, because they're angry about men cheering at a boxing match. President Trump as he arrives on the scene, and that makes them very angry. Very angry indeed. Why are they so angry? Well, because they're mentally ill. It's a problem they have. Everybody knows it. Democrat Party. Just amazing. Yeah, so the New York Times furious that men cheered him, and their furiousness, their fury, their rage is on the front page, their headline. Amazing stuff. It is. His most avid base, male. They're furious about this, honestly. Unwell, they are. Donald Trump campaign has raised over $200 million in just 3 days. Isn't that outrageous? Embrace of his most avid fans. Why are they so angry about this? Oh, yeah, it's because they have no avid fans. Male fans, his most avid base. Very angry, the New York Times is about being cheered at a UFC fight. They are not a well-adjusted group of people. We know that. We know that now. Now, the standing ovation at the UFC, wonderful stuff, but angering the New York Times, that makes it even better. Now, the lefties on television invited, of course, Democrats on to attack Donald Trump, because that's what they do. They're propaganda outlets. They're not news outlets, are they? Not at all. And another funny thing that infuriated them yesterday is President Trump joined TikTok. He joined TikTok, which, you know, there are a lot of issues with TikTok, of course, because commies and China and all that. But something hilarious happened, because Trump joins TikTok and gains more followers than the Biden campaign in less than 24 hours. Joe Biden has been on TikTok because he loves the communist Chinese and communism, and the commies funneled millions of dollars to the Biden family coffers, and the New York Times is good with that, but they don't want male fans for Donald Trump. That upsets them. The Biden HQ TikTok account has 342,000.9 followers. 342,000.9 followers, and they're very proud of that. President Trump signed up for TikTok, and in 24 hours, he has 3.4 million followers in less than 24 hours. That's 10 times what Biden and his people have. And that's why Joe Biden must go. The Democrats have to replace Joe Biden, because these are the things they care about. And they can't draw a crowd, and they're concerned that they'll lose power and won't be able to kill your children. That was Michael Beschloss, right, that said, the presidential historian and Democrat, said if the Republicans won in the midterm elections when President Trump was in the White House, that the Republicans would arrest and kill your children. Not that their rhetoric is mentally ill or anything. No, we're the pro-life people. You're the guys butchering everyone, harvesting their organs, and shooting everybody on the streets during your carjackings and lootings. Just saying. You know that the best-selling Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier uses Oxy technology that helps quickly destroy many viruses, odors, mold, and a whole lot more in the air, in your home, in your office, with thousands of 5-star reviews online. You know, it works like a champ. Me and my best girl, we've got 2 of them at home humming along. Any smell would just vanish after just a few seconds with the thunderstorm being on. Odors from litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smoke, dirty diapers, left-wing protesters, no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. The powerful thunderstorm sends out O3 molecules, which seek out and help destroy odors. These molecules even go behind and underneath furniture. Nothing can hide from the thunderstorm, and best of all, no filters to buy and replace over and over again like a lot of other filters, saving you money and hassle. Start enjoying your home and the air in your home and office again. Get several thunderstorms. You can hold one in your hand. They're not big old things. Right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for a whole home protection because you hang out with me. You get 3 units for under $200. You put one in your basement, your bedroom, your family room, your smelly teenager's room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com on Al Gore's amazing internet. That's EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3, C-H-R-I-S, and the number 3 to save $200. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yeah, my computer's giving me fits because the New York Times is toxic, like masculinity is at the New York Times. Yeah, so President Trump joins TikTok and mops the floor with the Democrats overnight. The Democrats are in a panic, a gender panic, and an electoral panic. Joe Biden is in danger, grave danger. I finally got the crooks at the New York Times straightened out here. They're such money-grubbing slime balls. The former president's appearance at a UFC fight in Newark on Saturday night showcased his hyper-masculine appeal. That's an attack, a criticism, not a polite endorsement. And his defiance. Right. And then the New York Times started throwing people off the roof of their building into Times Square. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, the New York Times is furious. They're wetting themselves again with the headline, "After verdict, comma, Trump revels in embrace of his most avid base, colon." They do love their colons at the New York Times. Male fans. It's male fans. How dare they? Former president's appearance at a UFC fight in Newark on Saturday night showcased his hyper-masculine appeal, which they don't like because it's masculine and they don't like masculinity, and his defiance. And Sean McCreish, typing on behalf of the Democrat Party. 16,000 people erupted into rapture. Rapture, that might be to overstate just a little bit. You guys are getting a little carried away, I think, aren't you? When Donald J. Trump walked into the Prudential Center in Newark at 10 p.m. Saturday night, Joe Biden had already been asleep for 3 hours at that point, to attend an Ultimate Fighting Championship match. He stayed until the grisly end. They don't approve of the sport. At 1:15 a.m., they say the grisly end because they didn't want to be there. They wanted to be home asleep with their cat, the thing. It was his first public outing since being convicted on 34 felony counts 2 days earlier. He walked out to Kid Rock's American Badass, a rock rap trailer park anthem. You catch that? The rock rap trailer Park anthem. They couldn't, they're aspiring to be more elitist, but it's going to be difficult at the New York Times. That samples Metallica's Sad But True. Somebody explained the song to him, and he had to type it here. And has become the unofficial soundtrack of Mr. Trump's quest to recapture the White House. And then they include some lyrics from the song here. And the crowd, they were cheering and they were chanting, and it was wonderful. Mr. Trump took a seat. The stadium took up a spontaneous chant of President Biden's name, preceded by an expletive. FJB, FJB. You know, that goes back to Let's Go Brandon at that NASCAR race years ago now, and that sports broadcaster lady. Then even louder, we love Trump. The New York Times is furious. They can't stand this because Donald Trump's going to take away all your rights, and women won't be able to have transgender abortions on demand and color themselves like rainbows. After days holed up in the city that convicted him, Mr. Trump had designed his appearance on Saturday as a reset, cheaper than staging a campaign rally, and possibly just as effective in casting him as a persecuted hero. This is just dripping with resentment, isn't it? This is your news media. This guy needs little help, I think. He doesn't have any friends, so he's going to have to pay somebody to provide him a little help. His campaign quickly cut his triumphant march into the arena into a video that used it to launch his new TikTok account, where he, in 24 hours, has 10 times as many followers as Joe Biden got over the course of the last couple of years. And there's some suggestion, and it might not be entirely untrue, that the reason President Trump, after calling for a ban of TikTok because the communists and all that, President Trump got a TikTok account is just to demonstrate that he get 10 times as many TikTok followers as Joe Biden just overnight in one day, right? So he got that. Showing him striding into the arena, waving and smiling for selfies. Very bitter, very resentful, don't you think? Alongside Dana White, the chief executive of the UFC. The two men who have a long history sat next to each other ringside. Behind them were Mr. Trump's entourage, his son and daughter-in-law, Eric and Laura, his son-in-law, Michael Boulos. He's got a son-in-law named Michael Boulos, who's married to Tiffany Trump, a small group of donors, his spokesman, Stephen Cheng. And that's now you're a racist because I think your tone is all wrong. You have to be worshiping him. Cheung. You have to praise him. But he's not in the country illegally. He didn't come in as one of 30,000 Chinese that came in illegally under Joe Biden. Man, oh, man. Amazing. Very bitter. And as ever, Mr. Trump's valet, or valet if you prefer, Walt Nauta, who has pleaded not guilty to federal charges of conspiring with Mr. Trump to obstruct the government's attempt to retrieve classified documents. He worked in Mar-a-Lago, and he moved boxes to a closet. That's a conspiracy. You're going to have to go to prison for 50 years. Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles. You're a Democrat Party. Do you know that the Democrat Party has adopted Deutschland über alles as their new theme song? Interesting, isn't it? You know, there's no toxic masculinity to be found anywhere near Joe Biden or the Biden administration. He did ride a bike over the weekend, a bicycle over the weekend. And he looked like he could ride a bike. He didn't fall over this time, so that's good. At least that we saw, but they'd keep it a secret if they did. And it did remind me. I went and pulled a couple of stories on Chairman Mao, the Chinese communist leader, who staged a propaganda event when he was 73 years old, when Chairman Mao swam across the Yangtze River, or so they told us somewhere. He swam a little bit in the Yangtze River with several lifeguards or security people circling him. And that was in Wuhan, China. And that was a propaganda victory for Chairman Mao. And the news media all over the world say, oh, look how mighty Chairman Mao is at 73 years young. Chairman Mao can swim the Yangtze River to Wuhan, where they have the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Amazing stuff. And now Joe Biden is riding his bike, and I couldn't help but remember the propaganda victory of Chairman Mao, his swim. Chairman Mao's historic swim glorified in China, but ridiculed by the rest of the world. And this story I went and dug up kind of amused me a little bit anyway. It's from 2016, and they wrote, 50 years ago, Mao Zedong, world record-breaking swim in the Yangtze River, signaled a return of the great helmsman. Other state leaders have since tried to use the sport as a demonstration of power with varying results. That's the Post magazine in 2016. 50 years earlier, Chairman Mao swam the river, and the pictures made their way around the world. He was 73 years old at the time, the Yangtze River. And that's Joe Biden riding the bike. It's the same thing. It's propaganda to try to convince you that he's robust. Mao Zedong died at the age of 82 in 1976, but not before he murdered 50 million people, or perhaps as many as 75 million people, according to Chinese historians. Amazing stuff. Yeah, but he died in 2000. That's amazing. This is a story about him, and died in 1976. But Joe Biden, he can ride a bike. Now let's go to Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland won in a split decision, the big UFC fight, and when he did win in the split decision, he made his way just out of the ring and over to where President Trump was, and he's beat up and he's sweaty. He just finished a big long fight, and he's leaning back with President Trump, and it went like this.
President Trump, you're the man, bro. It is a damn travesty what they're doing to you. I'll be donating to you, my man. Let's get it done.
Let's get it done. Congratulations, sir. Sean Strickland, ladies and gentlemen.
Sean Strickland, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. Amazing. Isn't that great? Yeah, the commies, they come up with all kinds of crazy propaganda stuff. And so do the Democrats, coincidentally. I think they've got a lot in common. You may recall that North Korean communist leader Kim Jong-il decided to golf. He was going to take up golf. So he went and golfed 18 holes, and the North Korean government came out and said that Kim Jong-il, their dear leader, he golfed 18 holes, and he shot a 38. He shot a 38, including 11 holes in one. First time he ever golfed. That's pretty good, because commies, they do this stuff, and if you laugh, then they kill your whole family. How do you think you kill 75 million people? Mainly, by one at a time. That's or a whole bunch at a time. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. I'm telling you. All right, let's take a phone call. I haven't gone to the phones in a long time. Let's go to Jason. It's Jason calling from Kensington, Maryland. Jason is back. Jason, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, g'day, Chris. How you going, mate? I was sort of multitasking there for a little while, but I got an idea for your next Politics and a Pint.
Yeah?
That bar you mentioned in Idaho, is it Idaho? Or
Idaho, yeah.
Yeah, that might be a good idea for your next Politics and a Pint. Just, they bring your own nuclear family. Could be a good idea for your next one. I think that'd be a good spot for it. And, promote... Yeah, you always have a T-shirt. You could always say, if you enjoy your life, thank a heterosexual.
Yeah, thank heterosexual. Hey, maybe your parents were heterosexuals and they had sex, and then your mother, who's a woman, got pregnant and then didn't abort you and gave birth to you, and look at you now. Isn't that great? Yeah, that'd be a great idea. Politics and a pint. We'd all have to go to Idaho for the beer for Heterosexual Awesomeness Month.
I'd go. I'd make the trip.
Make the trip. That is great stuff. It's the Old State Saloon in Eagle, Idaho. I haven't gone online to look at it, but I am going to go online to look at it. And Eagle, Idaho, I've never been to Eagle, Idaho, but I want to go to Eagle, Idaho. You know, Idaho's becoming a very popular place these days, Jason, with people live in Washington State and live in Oregon are fleeing the lunacy in those states and going to Idaho. And I think real estate prices, I think, are soaring because Idaho's not crazy.
Yeah, no, anywhere that's normal is going up in real estate. I mean, it's just anywhere that's sort of, has a normal life is really skyrocketed. So
normal is becoming more and more unusual, isn't it? And it's kind of the definition of normal is things that are ordinary, normal, that are commonplace. That's normal. But the left is undoing normal. And words don't mean what they used to mean. A boy is not a boy, a girl is not a girl, man. We've got a Supreme Court justice that doesn't know what a woman is. A recession is no longer 2 consecutive fiscal quarters of negative economic growth because like Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un, they just say, well, that's not what it means anymore, right? Because they really are, they have all of the characteristics, or so many of the characteristics of commies.
They do. It's sort of coming down to it's communism, and it's here, and it's not going away until we do something about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're here. They're queer. Get used to it.
All right, mate. Well, thanks for taking the call.
Thanks, Jason. You bet. Yeah, good to hear your voice. God bless. I owe Jason a beer. I know. I definitely owe Jason a beer. Maybe more than one beer. He's Australian, so I probably have to be more than one beer. I'm thinking. That's probably right. All right. I can't believe I've run out the clock almost on myself again. I keep doing this. Man. Got shiftless and all this crazy people. They're just nuts. Let's go to Hakeem Jeffries. Let's go to number 12. Hakeem Jeffries is a radical and extremist mentored by his anti-Semite uncle, Professor Leonard Jeffries, well-known virulent anti-Semite, and raised Hakeem. Hakeem is, not like Chris when it comes to names, but never mind that. And he was on the television over the weekend being sucked up to on CBS. Was he on CBS? He was probably on MSNBC. They're on. But here's Hakeem Jeffries talking about Joe Biden. And Hunter Biden is in the midst of jury selection today.
President Biden commented as a loving father, as I would hope any loving father would do. Hunter Biden, of course, is entitled, as was Donald Trump, to the presumption of innocence.
Guilty.
And to a trial by a jury of his peers.
Trial jury of his peers. But he's getting a jury of his peers in Delaware, where his father has been senator for 100 years and he's president, and he's going to get an all-Democrat jury, just like Donald Trump got in New York, an all-Democrat jury. But for Donald Trump, that mob of Democrats was a lynch mob. For the mob of Democrats in Delaware, they're going to be the tongue bath crowd. They want to smoke crack with him and go get Russian hookers and strippers and things because they're all Democrats. Now, should Hunter Biden go to prison? Because he's looking at 25 years in prison, plus $750,000 in fines, which he could care less about. It's not his money. And should he go to prison? Ordinarily, I would say for a stupid charge like this, I would say no. But to hell with that, because the Democrats have changed the rules of the game. And now I want Hunter Biden to go to Rikers Island for 25 years. How old is he now? He shouldn't make it out. He shouldn't make it out. He should end up in the pits with the savages at Rikers Island. They should, what do they say on The View? They should reopen Alcatraz for Donald Trump, right? Now, this is what they do because of their rhetoric, their insane, savage, bitter rhetoric and trying to jail their political enemies. It makes you want to see Hunter Biden go to prison for what might be a comparatively minor gun charge, But these are the new rules of the game in the United States. Deutschland über alles, as the Democrats like to say. So yeah, I want to see Hunter Biden found guilty and sent the maximum, because these are the new rules of the game. This isn't jurisprudence. This isn't law and order. This is politics. And now that we know that, Hunter Biden must die of old age in prison. No hookers either.
I'm okay if he goes to Alcatraz and they reopen it.
Now, James Comey, you may remember, was FBI director. He let Hillary Clinton off the hook when she destroyed 33,000 emails that were under subpoena by the Congress. And then he sabotaged President Trump and tampered in our election, just like the 51 so-called intelligence officials and the Communist Party voting John Brennan, who need to be brought up on charges. They need to be charged by state attorneys general or something. And James Comey, when President Trump is back, I think he should be charged with crimes and arrested. And but James Comey was on MSNBC with Jen Psaki, because the Democrat corruption is everywhere. Here's Joe Biden's White House press secretary, now a fake journalist, never been a journalist, a 1-hour show. They pay her 7 figures to do Democrat Party propaganda. And James Comey, who the media lied was a Republican, and talking about putting President Trump in prison and how that would work. And Benny Thompson wants to strip him of Secret Service protection, so he'll be murdered, because that's the left.
Do you agree with that it would be difficult or nearly impossible for the law enforcement institutions to put him in actual jail?
No, they would just put him in a double wide somewhere out near the fence, out in the grass.
A double wide.
And he would eat there, he'd shower there, he'd exercise there, he'd be away, as Danya Perry said, from general population, but it's obviously doable.
They're seriously talking about this. That's James Comey. And he's not an honorable man. He's not a decent man. He's not a good man. He should really be incarcerated. He should be charged with crimes. It doesn't matter what they are. Just arrest him now. We'll come up with the crimes later.